For me, the first time playing 7th Street was really cool. And it was our first tour ever that we were opening for one of our close friends now, Andrew Rip. You know, it was a smaller tour, but for us it was a big tour, and to get asked to travel across the country with Andrew in his van, it was unbelievable, and to play in an epic venue, like 7th Street. And I think Jason Isbell is headlining First Ave that night, so you can kind of peek in and like look at rehearsals, and it was just kind of a special moment. And it was a moment that I realized that people from Minneapolis were kind of crazy because it was super cold outside, and there was like a line out the door, and I was like, what are these people doing? It's too cold.
My favorite Minneapolis memory was I went to a Twins game, I think about 4 years ago, and my buddy's dad had the hookup, so we were in the 4th row right above the Twins dugout. It wasn't the 7th inning stretch, but it was at some point where they had like the music going and were showing people, and I took my shirt off and started dancing, and I made it on the screen there for a good like 20 seconds. And
Shaved or
I didn't shave. That was a special moment. So that was when I knew that Minneapolis and I were going to get along very nicely.
We played a show opening for Matt Carney, and we had like a lot of silly ideas back in those days. And in that particular day, St. Patrick's Day, we decided to wear kilts on stage, and we thought it would be like super funny. And the first show in Minneapolis was super rowdy, so we were like, oh, they'll love this. They'll super get into it. And we got out there, and it was just kind of awkward the whole time. But our actual like literal number one fan was at that show, and she kind of makes fun of us for doing that, but she was still a fan, so I guess it worked.
So I played college baseball, and I very vividly remember, this is like more of a physical get knocked down, but I turned into a curveball from a lefty. So as a righty, I thought it was a fastball, so I kind of turned into it, and it was a curveball, and so it literally curved and hit me right and square in the face. It was like 85, 87, but no helmet, just like right in the face. And there was a point where I was like, I don't think I had a concussion, but there was a point that they thought that I was charging the mound because I couldn't see, and I was trying to run to first, and I actually was running towards the direction of the pitcher. But everything was cool after that. I got back up from it. I got to go with Fred McGriff here, Crime Dog. I grew up a massive Atlanta fan, and that's somebody that he wasn't like super flashy, but he was always consistent, always worked hard, was loyal to the fan base, always had good numbers, was just consistent, and I don't know. That's what we try to be as a band. Is somebody that maybe doesn't have all the fluff, but like works hard and gets the job done, and I don't know, is loyal to our like tribe, I guess.
I was going to make a joke about like I have to take steroids to play the banjo well, but I'm not going to go that direction.
Stick you in the butt every single night for the show.
And I love you for it. My favorite baseball player I think influences me the most musically, might be a little bit of a stretch, but Charlie Blackmon, my dog, number 19 on the Colorado Rockies. He rocks the mullet, he's got the full beard, and he's just a good dude. He's been around forever with the Rockies, and that's my team I grew up with, and just stays true to who he is. He doesn't care what people think about him. He just goes out and has a good time, and I try to channel that in my presence on stage, and I'm in the process of growing out a mullet as well, so I think that's really going to make my playing better.
I'm gonna have to go with The Sandlot, the movie as a whole, really. But you gotta give big ups to Benny the Jet Rodriguez. He's just a beast, and he strives for excellence. And I think that's something that we can all aspire to as humans. So,
which picture means the most to you?
Which baseball?
The first one I thought of is a picture related to the band. Is a picture of. I guess it was the 6 of us in Sweden standing on a frozen lake. It was our first kind of adventure. Obviously, we like touring as a whole is an adventure, but going to Sweden in the winter was our first like big kind of adventure together. And that picture just stands out to me. It's just 6 of us standing on a frozen lake with our instruments in the middle of winter in Sweden.
Only on the Twitter feed. But he played Nashville. We were out of town playing a show, and so we were bummed we didn't get to hang out then. But T-Pain, if you're watching, we still want to collab with you. Second of all, congrats on winning The Masked Singer. You're a brilliant person. We love you. We hope that we can continue to cover your songs that make you proud. If they don't, just don't be mean to us. We still love you, and we'll try to do everything in your honor. All right.
You could have won even without the mask. You don't need a mask to be beautiful. So stay true, squad.
I think for me as a young kid, and it's something that I still struggle with, but I would just say, just don't care as much what people think about you. I think that's something that we all probably struggle with at times, or at least for me, I know that like that's something that whether it be music or my baseball or whatever, being a people pleaser or whatever is something that I've always kind of done, maybe out of hopefully a good intentions, but that's not really good for art. It's not really good for, competing and playing sports.
I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned over the past, 6 years since I got out of college was that things I used to make a huge deal out of usually don't matter in the long run. You can afford to make mistakes, and it's going to be okay. I just remember getting so worked up about things that felt like the end of the world was going to come if it went a certain way, and it obviously didn't, and we're all right.
You guys went really sentimental on that one. I was thinking, don't punch that pumpkin, is what I would tell myself. Reason being, I punched a pumpkin and broke my hand. So my advice to myself would be, don't punch that pumpkin.
It is so funny that you are saying that, because I was going to say the one moment that really stuck out to me is we played a Halloween show back in 2013, I think, and they wanted to wear costumes, and we looked ridiculous, and I was like, this is going to end our career. It's not even started. We look stupid, and I don't want to play it. I don't really like Halloween. I don't like dressing up because I don't want to be anyone aside from myself.
Well, why are you the one answering?
Because we were talking about Halloween things. All right.
Answer. Me and my wife have a beautiful white husky, and it's gotten bigger now. And so this year we decided to dress up as Jon Snow and Khaleesi, the Game of Thrones, and little Joshy was our direwolf. He would have to grow a little bit, but he looks like one.
I would go on that theme this year. If you watch streaming shows, Game of Thrones, if you saw Wild Wild Country, it's about the Bhagwan. I dressed up as the Bhagwan, and my wife dressed up as Adnan Sheila. If you watch it, you would love it. If you don't know what it is, it's basically a cult, and this crazy dude ran it.
Cult leader.
I was a cult leader for Halloween, just for that evening.
He's stuck in his role too. I was there. Sick.
My favorite Halloween story is that we're playing in Minneapolis this Halloween.
Squirrels are pack animals, which is tight. Me and my wife love squirrels, and I love taking pictures of them. We thought about when we got our house, we have a little backyard that opens up from our bedroom or whatever, but we're out there a lot, and we had this one little squirrel. We call him Tommy. He's out in the backyard, and he's always just kind of squirming and whatever. But we looked up, we would kind of wanted to start feeding Tommy, as our little pet, so he'd stay back. But I read online that if you start feeding one squirrel, he goes and tells his buddy, and then that buddy tells another buddy, and all of a sudden you end up having 15 squirrels in your backyard that are not only in your backyard, but they're knocking on your window asking you for food. So that's tight about squirrels. They stick together.
Yeah, we've got a squirrel in our backyard too, named Geppetto, and he likes to eat the vegetables in our garden. So this year we're thinking about putting an extremely hot ghost pepper chili in the garden, and when it grows, he'll eat it and then hopefully stop eating the rest of the vegetables. It's just an idea. I'm not going to kill him.
You might shock him.
Shock him. We're just going to give him some heat.
He's so scared, might shock him.
Yeah, anyways. Squirrels.
R.I.P. Geppetto. Oh, Jon Snow.
Yeah, Jon Snow has reclaimed it as per the end of the last season.
But we got to go Khaleesi, because they're doing it, but they're technically aunt and nephew,
something like that,
which is tight, kind of. But I'm going with Khaleesi and Jon Snow together, I guess.
Yeah,
What show are you talking about?
Nate doesn't watch Scott. Be honest.
19-0, baby. Super Bowl.
Be honest.
Get it? Because perfect season, division, conference, Super Bowl.
He wanted the honest answer.
The Patriots are going to win, and no one's going to be happy about it.
Oh. We were playing this show, and we invited someone on stage to freestyle against Brian, and it was a bigger crowd than what we thought. It was an acoustic set. He comes on stage, and he reveals himself, I don't think on purpose, but all of a sudden, like a lot of the dads that were in the front row with their little girls were like covering their eyes, but we don't know what's happening. We're just kind of like, why are they like covering their daughter's eyes up? And we come off stage and we get told by a friend that saw the whole thing that he was exposed, and I don't think any of it surfaced online or anything. So that was kind of the one savior. But yeah, that was a weird.
Shout out to Little Ross.